Welcome to another segment of the MCR. My name's TJ. Please like, share, and subscribe. Unless you've been living under a rock, everyone's fully aware that Russia's invaded Ukraine. I fear it's fine with the media because that gives them the reason to ignore the freedom convoy, truckers convoy here in the U.S. They don't want to cover it anyways. In a future segment, I'll probably share some of my thoughts and updates on the truckers convoy, but in this segment, I'm compelled to share my thoughts on the Ukraine situation. Putin has declared war on Ukraine. And I'm going to start from the premise of Putin, he's a KGB thug, attacking a country full of corruption. Prior to this declared war, Ukraine was already in a type of civil war, West versus East. The East being very pro-Russia, the West being primarily ethnically Ukrainian. This war has been inevitable ever since the breakup of the USSR, old Soviet Union, when Ukraine became its own country. You had Crimea and other states to the east wanting to be in Russia. When Obama was president, Crimea was annexed, we'll say, and that was made possible given the fact that Russia had existing military bases in Crimea. So when Putin felt the time was right, he just said, hey, Crimea is part of Russia now. I don't even know if he had to do much of an invasion. He just had to mobilize his existing bases there in Crimea. When Trump was president, Putin took no action. I have a theory to that here in a minute. But then when you had President Brandon, now we got all-out war over there. Aside from the Democrats' messed up weakness, why now? Going to one of my theories. When Trump was president, oil was pretty low. Russia was not making much money at all on oil. Russia needed the price of oil to be high to make money. And thanks to President Trump, the price of oil had been driven very low, which is fine with us at the gas pump. But now when Brandon becomes president, he gives in to the environmentalists, and I think it's near double now, close to near double the price of oil, which is great for Putin because now he's making all sorts of money. And he needs this revenue to fund his war with Ukraine. Thus, I think that's why he chose this time to make his move. I think Putin was also motivated with the eastward movement of NATO. And I heard one commentator mention this. There could be something to this. The U.S. has their Monroe Doctrine, which basically told countries, don't be setting up bases in our hemisphere, which Russia did in Cuba anyways. But, we had the Monroe Doctrine. And here we are, ourselves, doing what we've told other countries not to do. And I guess with the eastward expansion of NATO, we were poking the bear. And the bear didn't like being poked. Yes, you can think of Putin and Russia. He's still a communist, and communism is bad. But we were poking him, okay? I think we were. So, back to Ukraine. The big $20 question is, how much does the U.S. get involved? Another good question is, should they have been admitted into NATO? And I don't know about that. But that window of opportunity is now closed. Ukraine had elected a president by the name of Volodymyr Zelensky. And I suspect he was in a similar situation that President Trump here in the U.S. found himself in. And what I mean by that was both of them found themselves dealing with deep state corruption within their country. Heck, this deep state corruption in the U.S. facilitated our electoral anomalies in 2020, and I think deep state corruption in Ukraine played a part in Putin thinking that he could do this and pull it off. You know, a lot of bad actors have come out of Ukraine. Need I remind everyone about Burisma and the whole Hunter Biden connection? And how many times have we heard of cyber criminals operating within Ukraine? Sending troops is a no-go. Ukraine's not a member of NATO. That window of opportunity is closed. So what's the U.S. to do? I'd like to see them send food and supplies, but I doubt that's going to happen given our inefficiencies. I really, really have sympathy for the Ukrainian populace. They are literally helpless participants, and I say participants because last I heard Ukraine was calling people to report to designated areas to get free guns and ammunition, and it sounds like a fair amount of people responded. It's going to be interesting to see how this Ukrainian war plays out. When I think of what's going on in Ukraine, and you could think elsewhere in the world too, but Ukrainian's the most recent example, I kind of get fired up at the people here in the United States, completely oblivious to the blessings that they have in this country and the opportunities. I mean, how can you be thankful for something you're oblivious to? Something I've said before to Mac, and I don't know if I've said it often in any of our segments, but I almost feel that the United States is making themselves a third world Switzerland. And I say making. We're doing it to ourselves. I don't think anyone is seeking much of anything from the U.S. right now. And that's unfortunate when you think of the Ukraine-Russia war. We need to get our act together here at home. And until that happens, no one's going to worry about what we say. And they sure aren't going to worry about what we say we'll do, since we don't do much of anything. Thank you, Democrats and rhinos. Until we get our own house in order, we're just spectators to what's happening internationally. We must get this country in order. That's where my thoughts are at this point on this whole thing. As always, be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.